Parama Karuna Pahundui Jana Nitai Gora Chande Pahundui Jana Nitai Gora Chandra Parama, it's a 1-2 beat. Parama Karuna Pahudui Jana Nitai Gora Chandra Shabai Avatar Shar Shiromani Kevala Ananda Kanda Shabai Avatar Shar Shiromani Kevala Ananda Kanda Bhajo Bhajo Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Shudridha Vishwasa Kori Bhajo Bhajo Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sudridha Vishwasa Kori Bishaya Chariya Sherashe Majiya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari Bishaya Chariya Sherashe Majiya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari Dekho ore bhai tribhuvane nai emona doyala data Dekho ore bhai tribhuvane nai emona doyala data Pashu Paki Jhure Pashana Bidare Shuni Jara Guna Gatha Pashu Paki Jhure Pashana Bidare Shuni Jara Guna Gatha Sangshare Mojiya Rohili Poria Shepode Nahilo Asha Sangshare Mojiya Rohili Poria Shepode Nahilo Asha Apana Koroma Bhunjaye Shamana Kohaye Lochana Dasha Apana Koroma Bhunjaye Shamana Kohaye Lochana Dasha Parama Karuna Pahundui Jana Nitai Gora Chandra Shabaya Shiromani Kevala Ananda Kanda. So translation is there. The two lords Nitai Gaurachandra are very merciful. They are the essence of all incarnations. The specific significance of these incarnations is that they introduce a process of chanting and dancing that is simply joyful. My dear brother, I request that you just worship Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda with firm conviction and faith. If one wants to be Krishna conscious by this process, one has to give up his engagement in sense gratification. One simply has to chant Hare Krishna, Hari Hari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, without any motive. Next. My dear brother, just try and examine this. Within the three worlds, there is no one like Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda. Their merciful qualities are so great that upon hearing them, even birds and beasts cry and stones melt. But Lochan Das regrets that I am entrapped by sense gratification. Since I have no attraction for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, then Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, is punishing me by not allowing me to be attracted by this movement. There's a purport by Srila Prabhupada. Below, scroll down a little. And sir, could you get me a Bhagavad Gita from the back bookcase? Thanks. Was there a purport there?
There's no purport on that.
No? Okay, because I thought I saw something that said purport. Thanks. You can all hear me okay? And online, people can hear me? Well, the translation itself was a pretty thorough purport that Lord Chaitanya is known as the most merciful avatar. Srila Rupa Goswami called him Mahavadanyaya avatar, because even Lord Krishna, he said, first of all, you surrender to me, and then I'll deliver you from all fear, from all difficult things. If you surrender, you have to practice bhakti yoga. And practicing yoga can require some effort. But Lord Chaitanya's process of simply chanting and dancing is simply joyful. That's being described. He's giving freely this Krishna prema, which is very rare and very hard to achieve, even for great yogis and sages. So Lord Chaitanya, his mercy is unbelievable, astounding, and you could think that no one could be more merciful than Vishnu, or no one could be more merciful than Krishna, but when he comes in the mood of Radharani as Lord Chaitanya, then he's the most merciful. He just wants to give love of Krishna to everyone. Just by chanting Hare Krishna, if you just chant, trying to avoid the offenses, very quickly your heart will change and you'll experience the ecstasy of this mood of Srimati Radharani even, that Lord Chaitanya is displaying and letting people take part in. So this is something very rare and very wonderful, and we're very fortunate to be living in this time where the movement of Lord Chaitanya is now expanding. So then the next verse says, there are some purports here. Yeah, let's read purport. I don't know which one is which. Just read number 1. This is a song sung by Lochan Das Thakur, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, almost contemporary. He wrote one book, Chaitanya Mangala, depicting the activities of Lord Chaitanya. That is a very famous book, Chaitanya Mangala, and he has composed many songs. Practically all Vaishnavas, they are transcendently poetic. There's 26 qualities of a pure devotee. They're described in the Nectar of Devotion. And one of them is that the pure devotees of Krishna are poetic. That is one of the 26 qualifications of the Vaishnavas. So he says that these two lords, Nitai Gaurachandra, Lord Nityananda and Lord Gauranga, or Lord Chaitanya, they are very merciful incarnations. Shaba Avatar Shara Shiromani. They are the essence of all incarnations. The incarnation is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, that whenever there is discrepancies in the prosecution of religiosities and there is prominence of impious activities, at that time the Lord incarnates. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir-bhavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Or he descends on this material world for protecting the pious and annihilating the impious. That is the mission of incarnation. Every incarnation you'll find two things. Lord Krishna, he's so beautiful, so kind, but he is very dangerous to the demons. The demons were seeing him as Thunderbolt, and the gopis were seeing him as the most beautiful Cupid. When he entered into the wrestling arena, where Kamsa had put a trap for him, thinking that he could stop Krishna, and this is when Krishna finally killed Kamsa. But when he entered into the arena, all the different people there were seeing him based on their qualifications. The wrestlers saw him as death personified, and the members of the Yadu dynasty saw him as four-armed Vishnu or Paramatma. Kamsa saw him as death personified. And so different people would see Krishna with different, because of their different qualification or vision. So in this age, wait, can you go back up a little bit? So in the Bhagavad Gita it is stated, Ye yatamang prapadyante, Bhagavad Gita 4:11. that God is realized in proportion to one's freedom from the demoniac propensities. So in this age, of course, the last incarnation, Kalki, will simply kill. Long, long after, he will come. But here, Lord Chaitanya, his mission is no killing, simply favoring. Usually, yada yada hi dharmasya, when the Lord comes, then he paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam. He kills the evil doers. That's part of his pastime. He comes and he kills the miscreants and he liberates them. That's actually, he's giving them favor. Actually, sometimes demons, it's described in Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes demons think about Krishna so much, about he's their enemy, that they become even more absorbed in meditating on him than the devotees are. And then Krishna comes and he kills them and they get to see him and fight with him and personally deal with him. But because they're demons, normally they don't get to serve him in the spiritual world, unless they give up and they take on a mood of service. Like, for example, Putana. She came to kill Krishna, but Krishna accepted her as his mother, because she dressed up she was a big, ugly, gigantic witch, but she could change her shape, and she came as a nursemaid that could feed Krishna, and she offered him a poison breast. But Krishna said, well, she's offering milk for me to drink. So he sucked out the life air of Putana, but he accepted her and gave her the position of his mother, which is a very, very exalted position. So that shows an amazing mercy of Krishna. And even Lord Chaitanya is even more merciful than Krishna, just imagine. So, in this age, of course, the last incarnation, Kalki will simply kill. But Lord Chaitanya's mission is not killing, simply favoring. So when Jagai and Madhai, you know the story, right? Jagai and Madhai were two very sinful residents of Navadvip. They had been born in Brahmin families, but they committed every crime in the book. And then Lord Nityananda he told Haridas Thakur, if we can make them devotees, then Lord Chaitanya's fame will be increased. So Haridas Thakur said, I don't think it's a very good idea to go try to preach to those two rascals. But Lord Nityananda said, we can do it, come on. So So they went and they preached, and first Jagai and Madhai chased them away and ran after them. And Haridas Thakur was running along with Lord Nityananda, and he was saying, "See, I told you it wasn't a good idea." But they went back again. Lord Nityananda persuaded him to come back the next day and try. And this time, Jagai threw a pot and hit Lord Nityananda in the head. And then immediately Lord Chaitanya came there to kill them with his chakra, ready to slice their heads off. And they bowed down in fear. And Lord Nityananda pleaded with him and said, "Please don't kill these two. They didn't know. They're just rascals. And besides, your mission is to, in this age of Kali, if you were going to kill all the demons, you'd have to kill everyone. So your mission is not to kill in this age. It's to give love of Krishna very freely." So that is the specific characteristic of Lord Chaitanya, because in this age, of course, there is very much prominence of irreligiosity. But if Lord Chaitanya, please scroll down. But if Lord Chaitanya, yes, there, thank you. But if Lord Chaitanya wanted to kill them, there was no question of their salvation. They would be, of course, if anyone who is killed by incarnation, he also gets salvation, but not to the spiritual planets. But they merge into the Brahman effulgence as the impersonalists desire. In other words, the impersonalist goal of salvation is as good as the goal of salvation of the enemies of God. That's something to take to heart, that even the impersonalists, they get this Brahmajyoti, it's called Sayujya Mukti. They merge, they become one with the impersonal Brahman. So, just like them, that's the goal of the demons who attack Krishna. And so that is not a very difficult job. So Lord Chaitanya is very merciful because he is embracing everyone by bestowing love of Krishna. Rupa Goswami has described Lord Chaitanya as the most munificent of all the incarnations because he is giving Krishna to everyone without any qualification. So Lochan Das Thakur says that Parama Karuna, Pahu Duijana, Nitai Gaurachandra, that they are the essence of all incarnation. Kevala Ananda Kanda, and their preaching process is very pleasing. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends you chant Hare Krishna, dance nicely, and when you feel tired, just take rest and eat prasadam, Krishna prasadam. So his formula is very pleasing. So we're the preachers of Lord Chaitanya's movement, so it shouldn't be that hard for us to persuade people. Come on, we just chant, it's very pleasant. Everyone likes to sing and dance. You can sing and dance about Krishna, and your heart will fill with bliss, and then you can take Krishna prasadam, which is the most best form of foodstuffs. So, very nice. While he was present in Jagannath Puri, every day in the evening chanting and dancing continued. And after dancing is finished, he used to distribute sumptuously prasadam of Lord Jagannath. So many thousands of people used to assemble every night. So simply transcendentally pleasing, this movement, Kevala Ananda Kanda. Then he recommends Bhajo Bhajo Bhai Chaitanya Nitai. My dear brother, just try to worship these two lords, Chaitanya and Nityananda. Sudridha Vishvasa Kori, with faith and conviction. Sudridha means very, very firm. One should have faith in the words of Lord Chaitanya. Very determined, dedicated to your vow. Lord Chaitanya says that go on chanting. Simply by chanting, one will get all perfection of life. This is a fact. Unless we take to chanting, we cannot realize it. But those who are chanting, they are realizing that they are getting all desired perfection of life very quickly. So we should chant this mantra with faith and conviction. But the only qualification required in this connection, he says, Bishaya Charya, Se Rashe Mojiya, Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari. We have to chant with faith and conviction. At the same time, we should take care. We should be guarding against sense enjoyment. So, this is not a business process that we're chanting in order to get some material thing. We should be getting something. Material things are for less intelligent people. All religions of the world, they promise if you worship or if you be good, you'll be rewarded, and then you'll have money or friends or fame or whatever you want. That's to induce people to do it. And it's the way the universe is actually set up, that if you practice proper dharma, then you become purified and gradually, this is called karma kanda. You can gradually be elevated so that you can ultimately be able to understand Krishna consciousness. But if you become deviated, which you most likely will, Srila Prabhupada says, even on the royal roads, there are accidents. So even if one is practicing karma kanda very strictly and very properly, it's very difficult to actually continue, become a demigod, and then become a Lord Brahma, and then become a Vaikunthavasi. That's a very difficult path, practically impossible. But by bhakti yoga, it becomes easy within your grasp, and you don't have to wait for 100 lifetimes or 1,000 lifetimes or of perfect behavior without any mistakes. Charya means give up. One should give up sense enjoyment. Of course, in this materialistic life, we have got our senses and we have practiced to use them. We cannot stop it. But there is no question of stopping, but regulating it. Just like we want to eat. Vishaya means eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So these things are not forbidden altogether, but they're adjusted just to make it favorable for executing my Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada is talking like us. We should think, for executing my Krishna consciousness, I should regulate these things, not become carried away by them. Similarly, mating. Mating is also not stopped, but the regulative principle is that you should marry and you should have sex life only for begetting children Krishna conscious. Otherwise, don't do it. So most yogis, they have to go to the forest, like when Krishna is describing in chapter 6 about how to practice meditation. Sit down and control your breathing and give up all your mental sankalpas and everything. Then they have to practice complete celibacy. Krishna says so in chapter 6. But devotional service is so powerful that people can live in the city, they can be married and have families, educate their children, earn a living, have a outwardly normal life, but inside they're always thinking, how will I please this Krishna consciousness movement? How will I please Srila Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj? How will I distribute Lord Chaitanya's message? And how will I serve my deities? And so they don't become contaminated by that life. But it has to be regulated. It shouldn't be overdone. Just like salt. Without a little salt on your food, it's not palatable. But if you put too much salt, it's completely ruined. There's no question of stopping defense also. Arjuna was fighting, defending under the order of Krishna. So everything is there, nothing stop. Simply it is adjusted for executing our Krishna consciousness. Vishaya Charya. We should not accept these Vishaya, these 4 principles of bodily demands, namely eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, for sense gratification. No. The politicians, they fight for sense gratification. They do not see to the good of the people. For their political aggrandizement, they fight. That fight is forbidden. But when fight is necessary for defending people, that fighting should be taken. So we have to give up this principle of sense gratification or sense gratificatory process. Dako dako bhai, tribhuvane nai. Then he says, just see that there is nobody else so merciful. Pashupaki jure pashana bidare. By his mercy, even the birds and beasts, they are also maintained. Actually, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed through the forest known as Jharikanda in central India, he was only accompanied by his personal attendant, and he was alone. And when he was passing through the forest, he touched one tiger. He was sleeping, and the tiger answered, roaring. The company, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's attendant, he thought, now we are gone. But actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the tiger, "Why are you sleeping? Just stand up, chant Hare Krishna." And the tiger began to dance. So actually this happened. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached this Hare Krishna movement, the tigers, the deers, and everyone joined. So of course we are not so powerful. But if it is possible that at least we have seen the dogs are dancing in Sankirtan. But it is possible. So it is possible also to take. But we may not attempt such great risk. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could induce tigers to dance. We can at least induce every human being to dance. This is such a nice movement. How many people have heard Srila Prabhupada's lecture on chanting? And he starts a lecture about chanting Hare Krishna. It was as explained on the cover of the record album. It starts, do you know what I'm talking about? You know, right? Show of hands, anybody? Everybody knows that? Anyway, there's a famous, very early on, when he was just starting the Hare Krishna movement, somebody said, I can make a record, we can make a record of you, and that way you can spread your movement and reach more people by people would come home and play the record and hear about it and understand about it. So Srila Prabhupada gave a lecture, a short lecture about chanting Hare Krishna, and you should, everyone now has access to MP3 players and all the Srila Prabhupada's lectures and kirtans and everything. You should go listen to that on chanting. It's very sweet. It's from like 1966 or something like that. And he says there that even a child can do it and even a dog can do it. We've seen practically, he says. So, yes?
It's only 5 minutes, so if you want, I can put it on.
You want to put, okay, let's play it and we'll listen to it. How late does class go to? How late until we start the... till 5? Yeah, it's a very long class. So let's play this. We'll all listen to Srila Prabhupada. There's also a little pamphlet where this is transcribed, and we used to pass out these pamphlets. So listen with attention.
By chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Started at the
Hare
beginning.
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama.
I think that doesn't have the beginning. It should start as explained on the cover of the record album. There you go. No, that one was all right. You started like a couple seconds into it. You have to start at the very beginning. Just hit that, yeah.
Transcendental vibration by chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the sublime method for reviving our Krishna consciousness. As living spiritual soul, we are all originally Krishna conscious entities, but due to our association with matter from time immemorial, our consciousness is now polluted by material atmosphere. In this polluted concept of life, we are all trying to exploit the resources of material nature, but actually we are becoming more and more entangled in our complexities. This illusion is called Maya, or hard struggle for existence, for winning over the stringent laws of material nature. This illusory struggle against material nature can at once be stopped by revival of our Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind. This consciousness is the original energy of living entity. When we hear the transcendental vibration, this consciousness is revived, and the process is recommended by authorities for this age. By practical experience also, we can perceive that by chanting this Maha Mantra or the great chanting for deliverance, one can at once feel transcendental ecstasy from the spiritual status. When one is factually on the plane of spiritual understanding, surpassing the stages of sense, mind and intelligence, one is situated on transcendental plane. This chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is directly enacted from the spiritual platform, surpassing all lower status of consciousness, namely sensual, mental and intellectual. There is no need of understanding the language of the mantra, nor there is any need of mental speculation, nor any intellectual adjustment for chanting this Maha Mantra. It springs automatically from the spiritual platform, and as such, anyone can take part in this transcendental sound vibration without any previous qualification and dance in ecstasy. We have seen it practically. Even a child can take part in the chanting, or even a dog can take part in it. The chanting should be heard from the lips of a pure devotee of the Lord, so that immediate effect can be achieved. As far as possible, chanting from the lips of non-devotee should be avoided, as much as milk touched by the lips of a serpent causes poisonous effect. The word Hara is the form of addressing the energy of the Lord. Both Krishna and Rama are form of addressing directly the Lord, and they mean the highest pleasure eternal. Hara is the supreme pleasure potency of the Lord. This potency, when addressed as Hare, helps us in reaching the supreme Lord. The material energy called as Maya is also one of the multi-potencies of the Lord, as much as we are also marginal potency of the Lord. The living entities are described as superior energy than matter. When the superior energy is in contact with the inferior energy, it becomes an incompatible situation. But when the supreme marginal potency is in contact with spiritual potency, Hara, it becomes the happy, normal condition of living entity. The three words, namely Hara, Krishna and Rama, are transcendental seeds of the Mahamantra, and the chanting is spiritual call for the Lord and his internal energy, Hara, for giving protection to the conditioned soul. The chanting is exactly like genuine cry by the child for mother. Mother Hara helps in achieving the grace of the Supreme Father Hari or Krishna, and the Lord reveals himself to such sincere devotee. No other means, therefore, of spiritual realization is as effective in this age as chanting the Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. So today is New Year's Eve. People make resolutions traditionally on New Year's Eve. So we should all resolve to take this chanting Hare Krishna process very seriously. It's a very simple process. And I was thinking about this tape because Srila Prabhupada says, we've seen practically, even a child can do it and even a dog can do it. Srila Prabhupada must have actually seen that when we're chanting and people come to stop, we see a lot of times people come and join us in chanting and dancing, and he must have seen the dog actually dancing. Children, of course, they naturally take to it. They love it and they want to dance and sing, and they sit in wonder and look at the chanting. Because when the bunch of devotees together are chanting in love, it becomes very powerful, a very powerful thing. And a lot of people, when I ask them, how did you join the movement? They say, well, I first saw devotees chanting somewhere and I was amazed by it, but I didn't want to say anything. And it took me 6 months or a year or something before I got the books and read them. But the prasadam sealed the deal. Yes, taking prasadam. So that's it, Lord Chaitanya's program. Chanting, dancing. And when you feel a little tired, just rest and take some prasadam. Thank you. So, pashana means stone. Even the stone-hearted man, we also melts by chanting the Hare Krishna. That we have experienced, seen. Pashana vidare shunijara gunagata. Simply by hearing the transcendental pastimes and characteristics of Lord Chaitanya, even hard-hearted men, they also melted. There were many instances, Jagai Madhai, many fallen souls, they became elevated to the highest spiritual platform. In the front of the Krishna book, there's a dedication by George Harrison of the Beatles, which was a very popular rock and roll, popular music band in the 1960s. You've all heard of Beatles, I think. And he wrote, they had a song, All You Need Is Love. So he read, All You Need Is Love, parentheses, Krishna, at the end of his thing. Because love really inspires people to have that. I mean, like, was it Wordsworth? Who wrote the Reflections of Immortality, the Immortal Ode? I think it was Wordsworth wrote it. But, you know, this idea that children, they look at the world new and fresh, and they have an innocent heart, and they can experience love and happiness in a way that we, as we get old and we become hard-hearted, we're struggling and stressed over money and enemies and different things like that, and we forget that wonderful feeling. So the hippie movement in the 1960s, people wanted to feel, let's stop this war and let's stop this chasing money and trying to be better than other people, and and we could just love everybody, just love. So maybe that was a little bit idealistic, and it didn't really work that way. Very quickly, they came to San Francisco in 1967 for the Summer of Love, and Srila Prabhupada came there in January with the Avalon Rock Ballroom and started it off, and the hippies were wearing beads like japa beads, which they had seen the devotees wearing these big japa beads around their neck and everything. So, but the point is that soon, when everybody came there and said, let's just love and be happy, drugs entered and crime entered, and for the hippies it became an unsavory situation, and the Summer of Love didn't last very long in that phase of being this idealistic idea that we can just have a wonderful world if everybody just gives up their being mean, because the essential ingredient was missing, which is who should we love? We have to love the source of all energies, Lord Krishna. And when we chant Hare Krishna, that develops this love. That's Lord Chaitanya's teaching, this religion of love, of chanting Hare Krishna, Sankirtan movement, that get everyone to chant. Yes, we love everyone because we're all parts and parcels of Krishna. We are also part of Krishna. Everyone else is parts and parcels of Krishna. So we can see them all. We can serve everyone as representative of Krishna. So then Lochan Das Thakur says, Vishaya Majjiya Rohili Puriya. Unfortunately, I am so much entrapped in these demands of the body and or the senses that I have forgotten the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vishaya Majjiya Rohili Puriya. So, Shepadi Nahilo Asha. I could not desire to be attached to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. So why is this so? So he's lamenting that apana koroma bunjaya shamana, that I am suffering the consequences, the sequence of my past misdeeds, that I could not be attracted by the Krishna consciousness movement. Next page. It is a punishment on me by the Yamaraj, the superintendent of death. Actually, this Krishna consciousness movement, Sankirtan movement, is so nice and attractive. Every simple, unsophisticated person shall be attracted. But if one is not attracted, it is to be understood that he is being punished by the laws of the superintendent of death. Anyway, if we stick to this principle of chanting, then even Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, he'll also fail to punish. How many people have read the story of Ajamil in the Srimad Bhagavatam? Show of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe that was 6. So the story of Ajamil is a very wonderful story, because it shows that a person, even who had become a very sinful person, because he chanted the holy name of Narayan at the time that was appointed for his death, then the messengers of Yamaraj, who were going to take him to punish him for his sins, were stopped. They were checked by the messengers of Vishnu, who said, you can't take him. And they went back to Yamaraj and they said, what is this? Is there anybody higher than you? We are your servants, and you're the Lord of Death. You're very, very powerful, and everybody has to bow before you. How could we be stopped by some other people? And Yamaraj said, yes, we all serve Vishnu. And there are 12 Mahajans, and they all know the essence is to serve Vishnu. And that anyone who is a devotee, anyone who wears tilak, anyone who has neck beads, anyone who chants the holy name, wear tulsi beads on their body, they might be Vaishnavas, so we better not touch them. Right? They're in a different category. They'll be trained up and rectified by Krishna himself, and they're not under the laws of karma strictly anymore. So, this Lochandas Thakur is praying like that. The Vaishnavas, when you become perfect in Vaishnavism, you feel this insignificance, this humility. You feel that. Others can take advantage of that mood, that you don't feel, oh, I'm a great Vaishnava, everyone should worship me and respect me, and I'll become very famous. And you feel that, oh, I'm an insignificant devotee trying to serve Krishna, and Krishna is so great, and I'm so small, and I'm trying to do what I can, and let me please everyone else. You take to this Krishna consciousness. So Lochandas Thakur, in the great tradition of Vaishnava poets, is referring to himself in his song and saying, I couldn't take up this Sankirtan movement. Everybody should take it up. That's the purport of this song. Everybody, it's easy, it's simply joyful. You don't have to starve in the forest, and you don't have to be completely cut off from society. You don't have to do very difficult austerities and stand on one leg and anything like that. You just have to, as you become attracted to serving Krishna and feel how happiness comes from that, that's the real happiness that we've all forgotten, is by pleasing Krishna, then simultaneously you lose attraction to the idea of serving your senses. You maintain them. Srimad Bhagavatam Sutta Goswami says, Kamasya nendriya pritir labho jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jigyasa narto yascheha karma pihi. So he says that we shouldn't spend our life's energy pursuing service to sense gratification. Rather, we should maintain a healthy life. We're not requiring to starve and become sick, stop breathing and stop working or anything. We can maintain our bodies, but for the purpose of understanding the absolute truth, understanding the ultimate truth and the ultimate truth about religious principles. So that ultimate truth is very easily understood by this Sankirtan movement, and yet some people are not attracted to it. We have to learn to present it to them. We have to become attracted, and then we can show them why we're attracted, and we're becoming happy from it, we're becoming successful from it. How is it that then we can attract others to take it up also, that they can see how we're not losing anything by becoming devotees, we're only gaining. Then they'll want to take it up too and become attractive. And we're all preachers of this movement. Best preaching is by example. Example is better than precept. So we can say all we want, and we can argue all we want and try to convince people and defeat their arguments and stuff, but mainly if they see that we're glowing and we're happy, and it's not very difficult for us to become devotees, and they could do it easily also and become happy, and they'll join us. And that's Sankirtan. Sankirtan means bringing everyone into the kirtan. We do it together, congregational chanting. So, any questions so far as to what we've covered? How did you like that lecture by Srila Prabhupada? We have microphones in the audience. We want participation. Anything? Yes, Prabhu.
I like the in the talk which Prabhupada was mentioning, was saying that how it's not an artificial imposition on the mind. So Prabhupada knew how to actually connect to the people, because many people had the idea of completely emptying the mind and doing all those things. But Prabhupada knew exactly, okay, it's not artificial imposition, it's a natural thing that you have actually.
Yes. It's coming directly from the spiritual platform, above the sensual, mental, and intellectual platform. And you don't have to adjust your philosophy or there's no prerequisite like that. If you just chant, you can experience it. And if your heart doesn't melt, just keep chanting and it will. So this is a fact. What's your initiated name?
Vrinda Sevika Dasi.
Braja Sevaki?
Vrinda
Sevaki Dasi.
Sevika, yes.
Vrinda Sevaka Dasi.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for a lecture. And I like that also in this age we are missing a lot of things like good memory or good qualities, but we are very fortunate that we have this mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that we can only by this very simple process, dancing, singing, and taking prasadam, can elevate.
Do you know a verse from the Bhagavatam? Can you recite a verse from the Bhagavatam about that?
Yes, but that there is only one way in this age.
Okay,
just
from the Kali Yuga.
Yes.
Yeah, from the Upanishads, there's a verse that says, Hare Nama eva kevalam
yes.
kalo nastyeva 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 gatiranyata. I was thinking of a verse from the 12th chant. Yeah, okay, 12th canto.
Kaler dosho nide rajan asti he ko mahan guna kirtana deva krishna mukta sangha param vraja.
Yeah. Is that 11th or 12th canto?
12th.
Okay. So, Shukadeva Goswami is saying, O king, this age of Kali is like an ocean of bad qualities. But there's one very great quality, and that is that just by simply chanting Krishna's name, then you can become liberated and you can attain the highest goal, the highest achievement. The highest spiritual achievement is Krishna consciousness, devotional service to Krishna. So let's read a little from Bhagavad Gita, okay? I'm going to read from chapter 7. Verse number, let's try 23. Seven 23. Hare Krishna. Antavatu palang teshang tadbhavat. Okay, let's just do it. Let me do it all together, and then we'll do it. Let me just do it one time by myself. Antavatu palang tesham tadbhavat yalpamedhasam devan deva yajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Okay, please repeat. Antavatu palang tesham tadbhavat yalpamedhasam devan deva yajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Some others chant. Pass the mic around. Bali, there's one there.
Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavati alpamedhasam devan deva yajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi.
Antavattu phalam tesham
Antavattu phalang tesham
tadbhavati alpamedasam
Tadbhavati alpamedhasam
devan devayajo yanti
Devan devayajo yanti
madbhakta yanti mamapi.
Madbhakta yanti mamapi.
Anyone else? Brinda Sevaka Dasi, please, chant. It'll take me a while to remember it.
Antavatu phalam tesham
Antavatu phalang tesham
tadbhavati alpamedasham
Tadbhavati alpamedhasam
devan devaya joyanti
Devan devayajo yanti
madbhakta yanti mamapi.
Madbhakta yanti mamapi.
Word meanings. Antavat, perishable. 2, but. Palam, fruit. Tesham, there. Tat, that. Bhavati, becomes. Alpamedhasam, of those of small intelligence. Devan, to the demigods. Deva Yajaha, the worshippers of the demigods. Yanti, go. Mat, my. Bhaktaha, devotees. Yanti, go. Mam, to me. Api, also. Please repeat. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods. And their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods. But my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Some commentators on the Bhagavad Gita say that one who worships a demigod can reach the Supreme Lord. But here it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to the different planetary systems where various demigods are situated. Just as a worshipper of the sun achieves the sun, or a worshipper of the demigod of the moon achieves the moon. Similarly, if anyone wants to worship a demigod like Indra, he can attain that particular god's planet. It is not that everyone, regardless of whatever demigod is worshipped, will reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is denied here, for it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to different planets in the material world, but the devotee of the Supreme Lord goes directly to the supreme planet of the Personality of Godhead. Krishna repeats this in the 9th chapter, where he says, Yanti devavrata devan, pitrin yanti pitrivrataha, bhutani yanti bhuteja, yanti madhyajino pimam. Those who worship Krishna go to Krishna. And we heard in Prabhupada's purport of the verse of the song we were just singing that he was saying, it just flashed and now it's gone out of my mind. But he was saying that I can't get it back again. But anyway, that those who worship according to their yeyatamang prapadyante, he mentioned verse 4:11, that as they surrender to Krishna, Krishna rewards them. So those who are demoniac and they approach Krishna as an enemy, then Krishna rewards them by becoming their enemy. And those who are indifferent to Krishna and want to just become absorbed in material sense enjoyment, Krishna lets them forget him completely and become just completely absorbed in material enjoyment, which is very sad because they can't really be happy that way and they have to undergo repeated birth and death and a great deal of sorrow. But those who surrender to Krishna in love and worship him in love, they can live with him always. So here the point may be raised that if the demigods are different parts of the body of the Supreme Lord, then the same end should be achieved by worshipping them.
However, worshippers of the demigods are less intelligent because they don't know to what part of the body food must be supplied. Some of them are so foolish that they claim that there are many parts and many ways to supply food. This isn't very sanguine. Can anyone supply food to the body through the ears or eyes? They do not know that these demigods are different parts of the universal body of the Supreme Lord, and in their ignorance they believe that each and every demigod is a separate god and a competitor of the Supreme Lord.
So that philosophy is called pantheism. The idea that there are many gods everywhere and they're all just equally as good. There's an offense in chanting the holy name that we must avoid. And that's the second offense, which is to consider the names of other gods, like Shiva or Brahma or Indra or Surya or Chandra or whatever, to be equal to or independent of the name of Krishna. Yes, the demigods are Krishna's agents. Yes, the Vedas even prescribe. And Krishna talked in the 3rd chapter about the karma kanda, but he's talking about karma yoga. So we have to work and we have to perform sacrifices, and this is the way the world is set up, but we should perform the sacrifices without attachment to enjoying the results, and that way regulate our, as Prabhupada was talking about in the purport we were reading, that we can't give up sense gratification completely, but we regulate it so that it doesn't become a hindrance for us developing our love of Krishna. So that's a prescribed process, as I was describing before, that in fact in Narada Muni, in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, he tells Vyasadeva to write the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he says, Jugupsitang dharma kritenu shashitam Swabhava raktasya mahan vyatrikrama. He says it's a calamity, actually, a very big mistake, that you have encouraged people to be religious by promising them material rewards. And he said that yadvakito dharma ititarakstito namanyate tasya nivaranang janaha. Because they've been encouraged in this way, they won't be willing to accept this nivritti marg, this idea that we should take only to devotional service and be less interested in material enjoyment, because they think that's what religion is about. You be good and God will reward you. There are many preachers of all different religions out there who preach this, and the Christians call it the gospel of prosperity. That Jesus wants you to be rich and to enjoy material happiness, and if you just come to my church and give me money, then all that will come, happen for you. But Krishna is saying that's not a very intelligent idea, because money is perishable, right? I mean, things of this world, anything of this world. You want a big house, a big castle, you can't take it with you, as they say. And it will be destroyed when the universe is destroyed anyway, or much sooner. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that here in Bhagavad Gita, yes, Krishna says in the 3rd chapter, he talks about the path of karma, and then how one should be a yogi and practice your duties, your prescribed duties, but under regulation and not with the desire to enjoy the results. And in chapter 17 also, he talks about worship according to the modes of nature, that those in the mode of goodness worship demigods, those in the mode of passion worship demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. Bhutani yanti bhuteja. Those who worship the bhutas, they go to live with those dark spirits like that. So, it's not that it's not prescribed in the Vedas, but now Krishna's teaching a higher teaching. He's not teaching anything inconsistent. He taught about the karma path, how everyone has to work. You shouldn't just try to stop working when you're prematurely and pretend to be a yogi when you're thinking about sense gratification in your mind. It's much better if you actually do your prescribed duty and regulate your senses while you learn through gradual purification to dedicate the results of your works in sacrifice to Vishnu, ultimately to Vishnu. And that's completely consistent with this, that he's saying that people who are practicing worship in order to achieve some material result, they're not very intelligent. They may be doing something that's prescribed by religious authorities, and it's better than them just being atheists and doing sinful things. At least they're performing some duties. But their goals are material, temporary things, as Srila Prabhupada will describe in the rest of the purport. Not only are the demigods parts of the Supreme Lord, but ordinary living entities are also. In the Srimad Bhagavatam it is stated that the Brahmanas are the head of the Supreme Lord, the Kshatriyas are his arms, the Vaishyas are his waist, the Shudras are his legs, and all serve different functions. Regardless of the situation, if one knows that both the demigods and he himself are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, his knowledge is perfect. What does Krishna say in the 4th chapter? He says that you approach a spiritual master to learn the truth, and this is when you've learned the truth, then you'll know, you'll never again fall into illusion. Yajgyatva napunar moha mehang yasasi pandava yena bhutanya sheshani drakshas yatman yashomaya. You will see that all living beings, including yourself, are part of me and they're mine. They belong to Krishna. We all belong to Krishna. And therefore we're all equal. We may be in different modes, conditioning and things like that, and therefore have different roles to play. But we're all spirit souls, and we're all parts and parcels of Krishna. Right? Vidya vinaya sampane brahmane gavi hastini shuni chaiva swapake cha panditak samadarshana. Regardless of this situation, if one knows that both the demigods and he himself are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, his knowledge is perfect. But if he does not understand this, he achieves different planets where the demigods reside. This is not the same destination the devotee reaches. The results achieved by the demigods' benedictions are perishable, because within this material world, the planets, the demigods, and their worshippers are all perishable. Therefore, it is clearly stated in this verse that all results achieved by worshipping demigods are perishable, and therefore such worship is performed by the less intelligent living entity. Because the pure devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness in devotional service of the Supreme Lord achieves eternal blissful existence that is full of knowledge, his achievements and those of the common worshipper of the demigods are different. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. His favor is unlimited. His mercy is unlimited. Therefore, the mercy of the Supreme Lord upon his pure devotees is unlimited. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Miditang Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitang Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vande aham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavang Cha Shri Rupang Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we were talking about how Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada Muni instructed Srila Vyasadeva to compose the Srimad Bhagavatam to explain the path of pure devotional service. And he decried the path of karma kanda or even jnana kanda as being inadequate, less important, not the ultimate goal. He said, Naishkarmyam apyachuta bhava varjitam nashobhate jnanam alang niranjanam kutak punak shashvad abhadram ishvare nacharpitang karma yarapyakaranam. He said, even the goal achieved by the perfect jnanis of becoming free, naishkarmya, becoming free from material conception, that doesn't look beautiful if it's devoid of a conception of the transcendental Lord, Adhokshaja. And he said, as far as karma is concerned, I'm talking about pious karma, religious activities, pious activities, planting trees, giving charity, performing yagyas, and so forth. He said that if it's not offered to the Supreme Lord, then it's only painful from the beginning. It doesn't even reach the platform of Naishkarmya. So he said, if even Naishkarmya is imperfect, then karma that the results of which are not offered to the Supreme Lord with love is even less so perfect. So he asked Vyasadeva to describe the pastimes of Krishna, perfectly describe the pastimes of Krishna and how he's related to the demigods, that they're his servants. They're parts of his universal form, as are the different human beings and everything. It's all part of Krishna. He said, idam hi vishvang bhagavani vetro, that this universe is like Krishna's body. It's like Krishna. It isn't exactly Krishna, but it's also Krishna. Ivetero, Iva, Itero. And he said, you know this well, and I've only given a synopsis, but now you go describe that. So we can see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the advice is there. Akama, if you're already liberated and you have no material desires. Sarvakama va, if you have all desires. Moksha kama, if you desire liberation. Udaharadhi. Tivrena, with great force, with great focus. Bhakti yogena. Yajeta purushang param. With bhakti yoga, by bhakti yoga, you should worship the Supreme Person. And are you looking up that verse? But I'm going to move on to other verses. Akama sarvakamo va, 2:3:10. Moksha kama udara ti. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purushang param. Recently I was here and Pushta Krishna was giving class, and I told him, that as devotees we shouldn't desire anything material, but yet we should always feel dependent on Krishna. So when we need something, when is it okay, when should we consider it's okay to pray to Krishna to give us what we need? And he said, without missing a beat, he just said, always. You can pray to Krishna for what you need. Because, and that example is there in Srimad Bhagavatam of Dhruva Maharaj. You know the story of Dhruva Maharaj. He was just a small boy, and his brother was sitting on his father's lap, and he wanted to sit on his father's lap too. His father was the king. And his stepmother said, you can't sit on your father's lap because your father doesn't love your mother the way he loves me. and therefore you'll have to take birth from my womb before you can sit on your father's lap and become his heir, like that. So the little boy was very, very frustrated and upset. And he went to his mother crying. And he said, "Is that true? They said I can't sit on my father's lap because he loves the other mother, Suruchi, more than he loves you, Suniti." So his mother said, "Yes, unfortunately, your father is more affectionate to the other mother." So he said, "Well, what can I do? I want to be the king. I want to have a bigger kingdom than my father. I want to have a bigger kingdom than my great-grandfather." All right, his father was the son of Swayambhuva Manu. So his grandfather was Manu, and his great-grandfather was Lord Brahma. So he wanted a kingdom bigger than that of the whole universe. So his mother said, you should go to Narayan. For a desire like that, you should seek to be fulfilled by Lord Narayan. So the little boy, 5-year-old boy, he says, "Well, where do I find Narayan?" And his mother said, "I'm just a simple woman. I don't know. But the yogis and the sages, they go out into the forest. So he must be there. You should go look for him there." So this boy was so determined that he went out to satisfy his pride, really, that had been hurt. He was a kshatriya, and to dishonor him was something completely intolerable for him. So he went out to the forest to find Narayan, and he met Narada Muni there. And Narada Muni said, "What is a small boy like you doing out here in the forest?" And he said, "I'm going to find Vishnu. I have to get a kingdom. My brother insulted me. My stepmother insulted me." And he said, "But don't you know there's tigers in the forest and leopards and all kinds of dangerous snakes and animals, and it's no place for a small boy to go." But he wouldn't be. He says, "You should go home. When you're older, you can find Narayan." He said, No, I won't be deterred. If you won't tell me where I can find him, then get out of my way." He was polite, but he just wanted his goal, and he wanted it with great determination. So Narada Muni initiated him. He told him to chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and he instructed him in the ways of meditation, bhakti yoga, meditating on the form of the Lord. And he was so determined that by chanting and gradually refraining from eating, reducing his drinking, controlling his breathing until he could stop breathing. In fact, he was so powerful that when he was able to stop breathing, all the demigods started to feel suffocated, that the whole universe started closing in and unable to have air. So the demigods went and were concerned, but at that time Krishna appeared in his Prishnigarbha incarnation, and he was Dhruva Maharaj was meditating in the Vrindavan, actually. He was in the forest of Madhuban, was it? I don't know. He was in one of the 12 forests of Vrindavan. And Krishna came on Garuda there. And he was just a little boy, and so he couldn't really offer nice prayers. Then Krishna touched him with the conch shell, and he began offering prayers. And he was so overwhelmed with love when he saw Krishna at that time, because his guru was Narada Muni, and he was practicing a form of bhakti yoga. And Krishna told him that he knew about his desires and he would fulfill all the desires. And Dhruva Maharaj felt, no, I was just childish. I don't want anything but to serve you. But Krishna said, no, because you had those desires, you have to go back and become the king and rule the kingdom. You can't stay with me now. But if you always think of me and serve me like that. So Dhruva Maharaj felt, as he went home, he felt very humiliated that he had approached the Lord with some material desire. And it's said somewhere in the Bhagavatam, maybe in the purport, but it said that he felt like he had, I think it's a verse, he had desired only broken glass, and he'd been given diamonds of devotional service when he only didn't know what to desire. He desired broken glass. But he had to go home, and even his brother had to be killed by a yaksha. And then his mother, his stepmother, his brother's mother, she went out into the forest, or somehow she went mad with grief, and she ended up dying too. He didn't want all those things to happen. He didn't want revenge at all. In fact, he went to avenge his brother, and he went up to the mountains and started killing all the yakshas until he was told to stop. Manu himself came and told him to stop, I think. So, but the point is that if we want to really be happy, if we want to experience what real happiness is, then we have to achieve love of Krishna. That's the real happiness of the soul. If we can please Krishna, we're automatically happy. Just like if you put makeup on in front of a mirror, then the image in the mirror also is getting makeup too. So if we satisfy Krishna, if we please Krishna, then we also, being parts and parcels of Krishna, we become satisfied. Srila Prabhupada says, those who teach the philosophy of pantheism and think that all the demigods are just independently different gods that all lead you to the same place, he said they don't understand that just like there's all these different limbs of the body, yet we eat with our mouth, right? And we just give food to the stomach. It's not that we try to grind food with our hand or put it in our ears and eyes and nose, right? What do you think, Jayashri? Did you ever try putting food in your ears? No, huh? So we can see all of the different demigods as powerful agents of Krishna and respect them as great devotees of Krishna. And they're more pleased in that way than if we go to them and beg them, make me rich, make me famous, make me powerful, give me a good husband or wife, give me good children, give me strength, cure my diseases. You can imagine, they hear that all the time. Imagine if you were a very powerful person and everyone was just always coming to you saying, give me a blessing, give me a material thing. And they know that the material thing itself is not the thing that will really make you happy either. So, for the common people, then this gradual purification by practicing religion in order to be rewarded is prescribed. In fact, in the 3rd chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna, don't discourage people from working by telling them that the ultimate goal is just to chant Hare Krishna, because that will just disturb their minds. They won't feel it. They won't realize it. They're not advanced enough to do that. So you should show an example of yourself how to work in Krishna consciousness with works of devotion and encourage people that they should take part. Loka Sangraham, all of the general population should take part in serving Krishna, and that's the way of what kings are supposed to do. They're supposed to engage people properly and then give them the means of their spiritual elevation. But the real happiness, the real goal, the real achievement, spiritual achievement, is to satisfy Krishna. And even if you have some material desire, you can approach Krishna with that desire, because he's the source. As he explained it, we just read that verse 23, but if you see 20 and 21 and 22, Krishna is saying that those whose intelligence is twisted by illusion, by desire, they worship different demigods to achieve material results, and that it's Krishna who actually gives them the faith to serve the demigods properly and obey the proper modes of worship and the vows. And then, endowed with the faith given by Krishna, they satisfy the demigod and get the thing that they were trying to get, but Krishna says, really, it's given by me alone. Mayaiva vihitan hitan. So it's really Krishna's giving it anyway. And then he says, but if they don't understand, if they really don't understand Krishna himself as he is, Krishna Tattva, then they'll fall down again. they won't be able to go to Krishna Loka. That's explained in chapter 9. He says that yat somapa, yat trividyamang somapa putapa trividyamang somapa puta. Go ahead. Trividyamang somapa puta. Anyway, Ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan, but he says, Kshine punye martya lokang vishanti. That after their punya is, okay, look up 920 and 21. Trividyamang somapak putapapa yagyairiштva svargating prartayante te punyama sadhya surendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. You can go to the planet of Indra, the heavenly planets, and drink soma and enjoy godly delights. But then he said, next one, Teb 21. 21, please. Shine punye martya lokang vishanti. Evang trai dharma anupadya. Gatagatang kama kama labhante. Te tang bhuktva svargalokang vishalang. After having enjoyed vast delights in the heavenly planets, then they return to this mortal planet again. Thus those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. This is the real Bhagavad Gita. This is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, and Srila Prabhupada is pointing out that those commentators who say that when Krishna talks about himself, he doesn't really mean himself, he means the impersonal Brahman, which is his higher self, and his form as Krishna is the lower. All that stuff is just nonsense. It's in the commentaries. It's not in the actual Vedic language and the Upanishads, and it's not in Vedanta Sutra really that way, and it's not in the Bhagavad Gita. It's been inserted by commentators who aren't devotees. So Srila Prabhupada says if you read Bhagavad Gita, you must read commentary only by devotees. And if a devotee has made a comment on Bhagavad Gita, then it's useful because devotees know the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. All throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying the purpose is to worship me, come to me, love me. Only by love I can be known, only by bhakti, only by devotional service. But the commentaries by people who aren't devotees of Krishna, he says those are useless. They think themselves, they may be very, very erudite philosophers that are known for their big education and their mastery of Sanskrit and grammar and so many different things. But if they miss the point of devotional service to Krishna and how that's the supreme objective and that's our ultimate happiness, then their commentary will be useless, and we should avoid it, actually, Srila Prabhupada says. So, do we have any questions at this point? How's everybody feeling? I know it's a long class. There's another microphone there, and we have microphones throughout. Please don't be shy. We like to get participation.
So I have a question.
Jai.
So, as we have read from the Bhagavad Gita, that you enjoy your pious credit in heavenly planet, and then Shine Punne Vishanti here, again come back to Martaloka. So, is that the Martaloka is meant for the neutral place in terms of this is the place you perform your activities, the karma, and you gain, like you basically build up your bank balance account, and based on that you climb to either heaven or hell, or heaven itself also you get the karma. Is there any way that in heaven, let's say Indra donated 1,000 cows, so he get another karma, so his Indra period will be extended for one more term or something like that?
Well, it's a good point. I know that people can commit offenses in heavenly planets and be punished for them. There are many examples in Srimad Bhagavatam of that. Indra is often being punished, right? He killed the that three-headed Brahmin, what's his name? Vishwarup. And then he had to be punished, and then again he did something bad. He had to stay under a lake for a long time, and that, Durvasa Muni tried to kill Maharaj Ambarish, and he had to be chased even into Vaikuntha. He was being chased by the Sudarshan Chakra, and he prayed to Vishnu, and still he was being punished. But in general, as I've heard it, that this Martyalok is really where we have the best opportunity to either be degraded and go down, or become elevated and go up. And then it's interesting, the demigods, they're somewhat dependent on the sacrifices that are being performed by humans, but they'll be satisfied also by serving Krishna. But if they're not satisfied, if nobody worships them and nobody thinks about Krishna or them, and they're just all materialists and atheists and everything, then the demigods actually suffer, and they ask Krishna to help them. Like Mother Bhumi came and asked Krishna to help, both when Rama came and also when Krishna came. You always have that scene of the demigods going to Lord Brahma and saying, what are we going to do? The place is being overrun by demons, and sacrifices are being stopped, and so forth. So this Martyaloka is, and the human form of life also. I remember one time I was giving a lecture here one Sunday feast, and one young lady was asking about how come animals, they don't have karma, but they don't really have that kind of choice. Mostly they're simply reacting based on their material makeup. And also when you become elevated to become a demigod, then you have a different kind of existence as a demigod, and you're enjoying the results of your past karma, and you're controlling the affairs of humans. But the human planet, in the middle planetary systems, where the humans are, is the main platform for being elevated or degraded by karma. That's my understanding. And yet there are many stories of, for example, Narada Muni tells a story of how he was once a Gandharva in the heavenly planets, and when a sage came, or a demigod, somebody important came by, he was just singing songs to some of the apsaras there, and didn't pay attention, so he got cursed to become the maidservant, the son of a maidservant. This is before he became the eternally liberated spaceman, Narada Muni. So the 9th chapter talks about, like here, it talks about the very next verses, that those who actually worship Krishna, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janak paripasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. And he later says, ahang hi sarva yagyanam bhoktaram prabhur evacha. But he says that those who don't know me, tatvenatas, he says, those who don't know me in truth, ye tu mam abhijanati tatvenatas, they fall down again. Right, is it? Chavanti te? So, this truth is being explained. We should all study Bhagavad Gita very carefully and understand this truth is being explained, that worship of Krishna gives you a very different result from worshipping demigods. And demigods are principally worshipped by people who have material desires to fulfill. Of course, devotees, Vaishnavas, respect them all. In the second chapter of the first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami says that Mumukshavo Ghora Rupan Hitva Bhuta Patim Ata Narayana Kalakshanta Bhajanti Hyanusuyavaha. That the non-envious devotees who are on the path of liberation, they offer respects to everyone, but, and including of course all the powerful demigods, but they don't worship, he says, Ghora Rupan. Some demigods have these very ghastly forms, right? Like Mahabhairava Kali, cutting off people's heads and drinking blood and having big red tongues sticking out and stuff. They're very scary. And he says that people in the mode of goodness, or the people on the path of liberation, only worship the form of the mode of goodness, which is Vishnu. And he says that those who are, those who are desiring good progeny and, what is it? Partiva daruno dumas taspadagnis traimayaha tamasastu rajas tasmat satvangyan brahmadarshanam bejire munayo tagre bhagavantam adhokshajam satvang vishudang shemaya kalpante yenutaniha. Oh, mumukshavo ghorarupan, I just quoted that verse. Hitva bhutapatinita narayana kalakshanta bhajanti hanusuyavaha. What is it about the Pitri Bhuta Prajeshadin Shri Aishvarya Prajepsavaha? That those who are in the mode of Rajastamah Prakritayaha Samashila Bhajanti Vai. Pitri Bhuta Prajeshadin Shri Aishvarya Prajepsavaha. That those who are desiring material opulence, affected by the modes of goodness and of passion and ignorance, they worship similar forms, demigods prescribed for people in those modes. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for people who are wanting the highest benefit, which is love of Krishna. So in the very beginning it says, Dharmak projita kaitavotra paramonya matsaranam satam. It's Srimad Bhagavatam is really meant for those who are free from envy, right? Those who are pure-hearted. And it kicks out all forms of kaitava dharma, cheating religion, which is like business, and only gives the highest truth, which is really meant for Paramahamsas. But it says also that those in this darkness, in this age of Kali, will receive light from this Purana. Purana arko dinoditaha. Krishne svatamo pagate dharma jnana saha. Kalo nashtra desham esham puranarko vinoditaha. That in this age of Kali Yuga, of darkness, when Krishna has already left the planet now, and along with Dharma and Gyan and other good qualities, then he's appeared as Srimad Bhagavatam, which is as brilliant as the sun. And that those who have lost their way due to the dense darkness of Kali Yuga shall get light from this Purana. So even though it's meant for the highest spiritual adepts, the greatest of the sages, better than all the sages, like Shukadev Goswami, that nevertheless, it's being distributed for all of us, so that by reading it, we can get this benefit. Even if we don't understand it so much, we keep reading it and we'll get a great deal of benefit, because the pastimes of Krishna are explained there, which can purify our hearts and will induce us to chant Hare Krishna. So, yes, Prabhu. Need another mic back there.
So Prabhu, the question is, so those who are in the mode of passion, they worship demons. So, but if we look at the scriptures, of course we see two things. Like for example, Hiranyakashipu, Ravan, they worship
demigods.
Demigods. But then we also see that the demons in the kingdom of Hiranyakashipu or demons in the kingdom of Ravan, they mostly worshipped Ravan and Hiranyakashipu.
Yeah.
So is that what it is really meant? That because or maybe the Ravan worshipping Brahma is not really worship, it's like for some material gain they went there. They did not worship anyone, they just went there to get some advantage.
It doesn't mean that Hiranyakashipu was in the mode of goodness because he worshipped Brahma. He wasn't. He was a demon in the mode of passion and ignorance. He was angry at Vishnu, but remember, he was also Jai and Vijay. you know. Same with Ravana and Kumbhakarna, they were Jai and Vijay. Yes, they were Jai and Vijay. So yes, mostly people who are attracted to wealth and power, they take some wealthy or powerful man to worship and think that I'll get that. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport of that verse in the 17th chapter that he knew one man in Calcutta who made a lot of money in the black market because of the World War II. And he worshipped Hitler because he thought that would make him very rich. He was making money on the black market. So they'll take some powerful person and they'll emulate that person. And so yes, the demons in the kingdom of Hiranyakashipu were worshipping Hiranyakashipu. And Hiranyakashipu was only using Brahma as a stepping stone. He was really, he was really trying. Now Ravana actually had genuine devotion to Lord Shiva. And Banasura also was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. He played drums for him with his 1,000 arms and very much pleased Lord Shiva when Lord Shiva wanted to dance. So often we see in the scriptures that demons are worshipping demigods to get powers. And there's a story in the chapter, The Deliverance of Lord Shiva, of one foolish demon, Vrikashura. And he was cutting off parts of his body and offering them into the fire. You can see how much in the mode of ignorance he was to satisfy Lord Shiva. Not that Shiva is pleased by that kind of worship, he's disgusted by it. But finally, when Vrikashura was going to cut off his head to put it in the fire to get what he wanted, Lord Shiva came, okay, stop, what do you want? I'll give you what you want. So he said, I want the power that anyone whose head I touch will crack and they'll die. That's why I'm doing these horrible austerities. So there's actually people like that. It's hard for us to imagine because we're all devotees here, but there are actually people who have that kind of evil in their heart that they just want. And really, what that demon wanted was, he wanted to kill Shiva and marry Parvati. Such a foolish demon. So as soon as Shiva gave him that power, then he said, okay, now I'm going to touch your head and kill you. And Shiva had given him the power, so Shiva couldn't go back on his word. So he began running away. And he ran here and there with this demon chasing him. So then Vishnu decided to help him. And he came like a small brahmachari, very beautiful, dressed in a deer skin. And he saw the demon, and he was so beautiful, the demon had to be attracted. He said, what are you doing? He said, I am going to kill Lord Shiva, I'm going to touch his head. He said, do you think you can kill Lord Shiva just by touching his head? I can. He gave me the benediction. If I touch his head, the head will crack. That's why he's running. He said, no, Shiva's like that. I know Lord Shiva, he's very tricky. He said, it doesn't work. Look, touch your own head and see. The demon, without thinking, touched his own head and died. So Lord Krishna can out-trick the tricksters, right? He also tricked, in a similar beautiful small Brahmin form, tricked Bali Maharaj. So the question is, there's a question in the back, microphone in the back. So yes, demons generally, what makes them demons is they're atheists. They don't believe in Krishna, they don't want to surrender to him, they want to compete with him. Haribol. Is it on?
Listening to all this kind of sounds, it's just a question, all these stories about demigods and all that, doesn't it sound like doesn't sound real, right? I mean, it seems like somebody just made up, back in the day, made up stories about, sounds kind of surreal or unreal.
Well, the universe is...
it seems like a movie from Hollywood or Bollywood, I'm just being honest. With Shiva, Kali, I don't think they existed. Maybe Krishna was trying to get people away from all that. I don't know.
If you actually read
hallucinatory kind of made up stuff in somebody's mind, because it's hard to believe all that.
Well, Srila Prabhupada said, Vyasadeva had better things to do than write fairy tales for children. I know it sounds like that, because we are all familiar with this kind of stories that we tell kids about Santa Claus and tooth fairies.
It's all
and
nonsense, right?
But
Santa Claus.
Srimad Bhagavatam is not nonsense. In fact, it's known that even the greatest Paramahamsas who aren't interested in any romantic novels, or they're not interested in reading Dostoevsky and Kafka and Camus and stuff, but they're interested in reading Srimad Bhagavatam, even if they're Atma Rama, even if they have no desires, their senses are completely in control, and they take pleasure from within, they like to hear the stories about Krishna and Srimad Bhagavatam. And not just the stories, the philosophy in Srimad Bhagavatam is there. If you study it carefully, you can see that no human could make this up. Not only that, but all the Puranas, they're connected. They explain the same reality, or they explain it's a multi-layered reality, that the universe really is not just the world that we see. There's much more to it than that. And we have to, if we're wise, we can learn about how there's more to it than that there really is other planetary systems, and there really is other places we can go. It's psychological. We go to places in dreams, right?
That's what I'm saying, mental kind of hallucinatory.
Well, there's also there's also a person who's experiencing what's happening in dreams, and that's the soul. And that soul is traveling through mental and intellectual and sensual states in the world, and is experiencing those things. And there's this interrelation that's explained in the Bhagavatam between the bhautika, the material elements like fire, water, and earth, and the daivika, which is like the demigods, and also the atmika, which is the soul and the senses and the mind that experience things. Or the soul only really experiences it through the filters of material senses and mind that we get with a bhautic body. Or sometimes as ghosts they don't have a body with fire and earth, they just have a mental body, and then they're always they're struggling because they want to enjoy material things, so they try to inhabit other people's bodies to enjoy through that. But this is actually a reality. It's a deeper reality, and I think I read somewhere where Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained that for just the simple people, in the village or whatever, they just have simple faith and they believe in the stories. And then, intellectual people study and learn the significance, the philosophical significance of the stories. But higher than that are realized practitioners who can actually live in the stories and see the demigods and talk to them and go to and see the eternal associates of Krishna and talk to them and be there too. So the Bhagavatam can be experienced on these different levels. And Srila Prabhupada says that it's both simple and sublime. That that generally those people who have the very high class qualities of sense control and gyan, they know everything about the absolute truth, and they know everything about the Vedic scriptures and the Upanishads and everything, that they can relish the Srimad Bhagavatam with great joy, but the beginners can relish also and become purified. So there's this verse that says in the second chapter again of the first canto that says that Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayat Yashu Vairagyang Gyanang Cha Yadahaitukam. That actually by developing bhakti, by practicing bhakti yoga, by this chanting Hare Krishna, that the other high class qualities like austerity and renunciation and spiritual knowledge and spiritual realization and sense control and honesty and forgiveness and tolerance and mercy, all those qualities, they automatically appear. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavat yakinchana sarvayar gunais tatra samasate suraha. That for the devotees, the qualities that the demigods have, these qualities of fortitude and vast knowledge and power and all those things, They appear in the body of Vaishnavas, although Vaishnavas never want to misuse it. Sometimes those who practice mystic yoga and control the senses and mind very well, they get powers that they might misuse. They may be siddhi kamis, they desire siddhas, and then they use it to bring people under their control or to gain power. There was one rishi named Saubhari Muni who lived under the Jamuna River, and he cursed Garuda because Garuda had eaten one of the fish that was his friends down there. He ate the king of the fish, so he cursed Garuda, and as a result, he lost his spiritual determination. He came out of the river. But I know these may sound like they're fairy tales to you, but they're not. They're much deeper than any fairy. First of all, any cultivated, civilized person appreciates literature, different kinds of literature. The Bhagavatam is a much higher class of literature, but if you talk to anyone in a civilized society, they appreciate poetry and they appreciate novels or whatever forms of literature that are available in those societies, haiku or whatever, that because people can tell, even in reading fiction, works of fiction, people can glean, if they're intelligent, they can glean profound meanings about morality and about human nature and interactions of humans and wisdom about how to be careful about who you associate with and so many things like that. So this form of somebody has to mute their mic. So this form of education called literature is an important thing in every culture. Dance and opera and so many things. Only the very, the mudha, the guy with a strong back and a weak mind who carries, bricks for a living or something like that, and he doesn't want to hear about any Romeo and Juliet and all that kind of stuff. But we're having some feedback problems. But the great spiritual yogis, they're not interested in Romeo and Juliet, and they're not concerned about the characters who are interested. In fact, in the Srimad Bhagavatam it says, men who are like hogs, dogs, camels, and asses, praise those men who never worship Krishna. So, when people are reading some novel about, the struggles of young Werther or something like that by Goethe, or one of these famous novels that, those are called Bildungsromans in German. They're the story of a young virtuous person coming of age and developing knowledge about the world and stuff. But those kind of things are not, those characters don't interest people who are no longer interested in material objectives. But those people are still interested in hearing about the pure explanations of Srimad Bhagavatam. And there are deep meanings within all those stories. And they're not fictional stories, they're just from, Srila Prabhupada says, sometimes they come from different planets or even different universes. And they come from different times and places. But they have essential truth to them because they're spoken and remembered and taught by actual great personalities. So in Narada Muni, when he was I was telling before about how he's telling Vyasadeva to write this book, he said, Tadvag visargo janatagha viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abadhavatyapi namanyanantasya yashonkitani yat shrinvanti gayanti grinanti sadhavaha. He says, even if they're not very finely composed with all these poetic embellishments, if at every sentence it's about glorifying Krishna, then that literature is heard, sung, and accepted by swan-like men who are thoroughly honest. Whereas, what's the verse before that? It's about how if they're not, what is it? There's a place of pilgrimage for crows. Tadvaya sang tirtamu shanti manasa nayatra hangsa ninamantya shikshaya. that swan-like people don't take pleasure there. That those are the people who read the dime novels, the pulp fiction about murders and sex and all these things. They have a lower taste. They're like picking on carrion, like crows. Whereas those who read about Krishna, they have a higher taste. But I know it may sound, it's supernatural, it's things from beyond our experience. But that doesn't mean that it's just an imaginary tale. It comes like Srila Prabhupada said, the chanting of Hare Krishna is not an artificial imposition on the mind, that it comes from the spiritual planets. And similarly, the Srimad Bhagavatam, it was revealed, and it's time for Artik now. Did you have one more follow-up? I'll let you have the last word.
You said something about praying to the moon, the sun. I mean, they are just planets. We wouldn't have known till we landed on the moon, but it's just a barren planet. Why would you pray to a barren planet? And about Saturn, they say Shani god or whatever in Hinduism.
Yeah.
In my country, it's nonsense. It's a Saturn, it's a planet. It's
no,
like
there's personality behind the planet.
Earth is a planet. There's mud, there's earth. There's nothing godly or.
Well, we have to stop.
Maybe.
I can talk to you privately. We have to stop now, but just to say that there's a lot more to this world that we can't see, and now the modern scientists have convinced everybody that everything has to be judged based on what we see with our senses.
I'm just saying, maybe this whole thing was created because humanity has become mentally and morally so sick.
Well, I'll talk to you after, but actually it's the materialistic outlook which has been created by the sickness. So, all glories to Bhagavad Gita, and now we'll have to see the beautiful worship of Sri Sri Radha Madana Mohan. And sir, you and I, let's talk during Prasadam time or something. Hare Krishna.